Shaneé, Miss Inspiration. And I know I have been MIA for a few weeks. Life has been happening, and just wanted to really come on here. God has been really giving me a lot of messages, and I'm hoping to do a quick, short message um, that will encourage you, that will uplift you, and that will give you the opportunity to start thinking about all of the things that truly matters to you. If any one of you who may not know, I am Tanisha, Shaneé, Miss Inspiration. I am an inspirational speaker, lifestyle strategist, author, digital online business owner, college professor. I do a lot of different things. But right now, in this particular space, I just want to encourage you and I want to inspire you to go after the life that you desire for yourself. And I understand that many of us, we were never taught to do that. Like, that's not a part of society's norms, right? We're taught to figure out what everybody else wants you to do in your life, and you go based off of that. And when we really start thinking about, what does my happiness look like? A lot of people can't answer that question. And when I say to you, in the last 3 years, I have been meeting people, not individuals in their 20s and their 30s. I'm talking about in their 50s and 60s who cannot tell you what makes them happy. They don't know what makes them happy. They just know what they have been conditioned to do all of these years. And they have been doing it. And as life starts to slow down, they start to realize, I don't know what makes me happy. I don't know what I enjoy to do. And I feel like that is something for those of us in our 20s, 30s, and 40s to really take heed to start paying attention to. Because if we are looking and meeting the boomers who are now retiring and all they know is work, all they know is the life that they have been living for XYZ number of years, and they cannot determine and tell you what makes them happy or what they actually enjoy doing, that means that we really need to stop, slow down, and figure out what does that look like for you. And I have been doing this, and I've done it since 2016. And ironically enough, I've started to figure out what I enjoy to do, what made me happy when I was at my lowest point in life. And when I say your lowest point, I mean financially. So when I meet either as a new client, my students, I always say, what do you enjoy doing minus the money? Right? Because we can have money and we can do a lot of different things. But is it always what you enjoy doing? Now, if you have the money and resources to do something new because it's something that you have of interest, then that's something that's totally different. I encourage that. But when you don't have the resources, it takes a lot of strength for you to go out your way to literally do something when you're thinking about your bills, when you're thinking about whether or not you're going to have your lights turned off, or if your phone is going to get turned off. It takes a lot to bypass all that's going wrong in your life to still find something that's going to bring you so much joy. And I started to do that back then. And as I evolved and things started to change in my life and doors started to open up and opportunities and the abundance started to come back, I continue to enjoy those things. And I try to do it as much as possible. I try to do it in abundance because I know that this is what you truly like to do. You really enjoy this. It brings you peace. It brings you joy. And it gave me opportunities to connect with God, to really be thankful, and to really start to outline, you know what do I need my life to look like? And that's a second question that I think, outside of what brings me happiness, what brings me peace, is what do I want my life to look like? That is a very difficult question because, again, we are conditioned to live our lives the way that other people have told us, right? Some people were literally handed the life that they're living. And they have never thought about going outside of the scope of that. And I think it's like so ironic, I think about right now as I'm sharing this, like Prince Harry. Prince Harry was he's a prince, and he made an intentional decision. He was like, look, I want to leave. I don't want to be in the confines of, being stuck as just being a prince, and I want to go out and I want to live in the world, and I want to do these different things, and I'm going to step away from the life that was given to me to do and find who I am as a person. And I think that's very bold, but I think that's an example that we need to see, because so often many of us are not doing that. And I don't fault anyone for staying where they are comfortable at. But I also said, and I mentioned this to someone that I know, and we were having this conversation last week. We are in a season where the people that are fearful are trying to stop the people that are fearless from living the life that they truly are destined to live. I'm going to say that again. The people that are fearful are trying to stop the people that are fearless from living the life that they're supposed to live. And, I take my journey for example. Me leaving New York City to go to a smaller town in Oklahoma is definitely something that even I would have never ever imagined or seek out in my life. It's just like, who does that, right? But I also, when I started to share that, the people that are so afraid of leaving New York or leaving wherever they know, they're gonna now try to pour out their fear and their hesitations and everything, the doubt, every possible thing into someone who, and I personally wouldn't consider myself to be fearless. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things that I am afraid of, but I also understand, like, one, I'm walking with God. So if I'm walking with God, I can't be afraid. I have to take my step, and He'll take two for me. And when I just go out there and I jump and I leap, even if I was reading a post, even if I make a mistake, God is a God that can pivot and He can turn things around. Someone wrote that in a post, and I thought it was just so powerful. But I'm not fully fearless, but I fully understand that if God is leading me on a path and He's taking me on a journey, I have to go, and I have to let go of what is so familiar to me, what I am so comfortable with, and what all that I know, and believe that I'm going to be in a space and a place that I am going to receive blessings, abundance, clarity, wisdom, discernment. It's going to be so many different things that's just going to come into my life as I embark on this journey. And I tell people, when you start to do those same exact things, when you start to let go of all the doubt, all the fear, all of the narratives that you have created that others have poured into you, you're going to start seeing, like, wait, maybe life isn't as bad as I thought it was. Maybe it's not as scary. Maybe I should start to look out other places for me to live, or at least go to experience. Again, there's never going to be any animosity towards people that choose to stay where they are comfortable. But what I will encourage you is, if that is what your choice is, when other people come to you, your children, strangers that you don't know, family, friends, don't try to discourage them by pumping in your fear, by trying to pour your negativity and your doubt, because you have never left the land of familiar. And I think it was just very profound, because for those of you that don't know, and this is not a plug for my book, but go get my book, Dear Single in Love, 8 Principles for the Woman Waiting for Her God-Ordained Purpose Mate. In chapter 7 of that book, it states, step out of the land of familiar. And God reminded me, like, stepping out of the land of familiar is not just going and leaving your personal space, or leaving where you are comfortable to meet that particular person, but your destiny could be there. The job that you have been praying for, your business can boom, opportunities can just blow up, because you have finally left the land that you are so familiar with. And that can go for so many different people. It can really depend. I just happen to write that for people that are single, especially women, and they're seeking out their purpose mate, and they're trying to figure out, well, Why am I not meeting my purpose mate? Yeah, because you're in a town that has 1,000 people and half of them are your cousins. No shade. Okay? No shade. However, your husband might not be there and God might not be sending your husband there. So you might have to literally pack a bag or a few bags, pack up a car, and go somewhere and go where God is leading you. And that's the best place to go. Go where God is leading you. And guess what? It might not make sense to you or to anyone else. Because the one thing that I can tell you from personal experience, God is not logical. A lot of things will not make sense. But when you get there, it will start to make sense. Whatever it is that He's trying to reveal to you, it will start to make sense. But you have to make those moves. You have to actually do something that is going to be different. And I tell you, there are going to be people that's going to doubt you. They're going to think that you are insane, but that's okay. And the last point that I really want you to understand is you have to know who you are. And that takes a lot of work. Because again, that's you're stepping away from the life that people have given you. You are now finding what is making you happy. And so with all of that lumped together, you're gonna start realizing like this is the things that I need, these are the things that I want my life to look like. And you can start to put together, and it can start simply on a piece of paper. What do I want my life to look like? Don't look at what your life is today. Don't worry about that. Sit and ask God, what do I need my life to look like? Because in actuality, we can sit, and people have been doing it. They do vision boards, you know, they do vision boards. And that's the reason why I say I'm not a huge fan of vision boards. I am a fan of vision boards when you are doing a God board. When you have sat and said, God, what do you want my life to look like? Because this is where we can go from thinking, I'm going to have a 1 bedroom, 1 bath condo. And God is like, no, I want you to have a 5 bedroom, 4 bathroom house for fill in the blank. I want you to have you're saying I just want a balcony, and God's saying I'm gonna give you a whole backyard where you can, you know, have your dogs, and you can plant, and you can have you a beautiful patio with patio furniture and all these different things. So sometimes we will limit our own vision. So this is why when we start to sit and we say, okay, God, what does my life supposed to look like? What do I need in my life? What do I want in my life? God will start to speak to you, and guess what? You may not believe it yet. It might not be believable, but write it down. God, where should I live? How do I like what city should I be a country girl? Should I live out in a rural area? Like I have met people that that came from large cities, and they live like literally almost off grid. Not fully off grid, but they're almost there. Like they're about two aspects away from being off grid because they have followed the vision that God gave them. And they're sitting in their house where they have acres of lands that they paid a fraction of the cost of if they would have stayed in the larger city. And then there are some people in other countries living on a beach in a beach house. But they thought at one time, well, I need this big gigantic house. And God is like, no, this is all that you need. So you have to really get to that space of saying, like, what do I need my life to look like? And when you allow God to be a part of that journey, you're going to start seeing it's going to become a lot more reality. And then when people start to debate and want to argue with you and tell you, well, you should do this and you should do this, you can say it with confidence. I thank you for your opinion. However, this is the life that I am supposed to live. There's power in knowing that. There's power in saying, I know what I value. I know who I am at the core. And so many people don't know who they are at the core. This is the reason why people can switch up quickly, right? They can switch up very quick because they don't know who they are. So they're going to attach themselves and take on characteristics and traits that do not represent who they are because they don't know who they are. So this is why you have to do the healing. This is why you have to start doing the self-reflection. This is when you have to start to detach from the stories and the narratives that have been poured into you. This is the reason why Romans 12:2 is the scripture that I stand on. That we have to get away from conforming to the way of the world. And you have to renew your mind. Renew your mind. And with renewing your mind, you're taking away every single thing that people have told you that your life is supposed to look like. When you are renewing your mind, you are walking away from every narrative that has been poured into you, every story that has been spoken over to you, every prophecy that was not meant for you. You're renewing and you're breaking free. That's what we should be doing, is breaking free from these narratives that are not yours. You're consuming something that has nothing to do with you. How fair is that? It's not fair at all. It's not. And I say that because I understand. It took a long time. I just turned 39 years old. And when I say I didn't really start understanding who I was until about 33. And even then, it still scared me because I was afraid to speak and share these things with people because to them, it's like, well, no, this is who you are. You're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that. And they're telling me, and I'm just like, you know what? Maybe they're right. And they were not. And when I started taking hold and standing boldly, and I'm like, no, this is who I am. And as uncomfortable as I may have been at times, I had to understand that who I am is who God made me. And the only thing that I need to focus on is not disappointing God. When you start to live your life the way that you're supposed to, you're going to disappoint people. But you don't want to disappoint God. And that's difficult because we value the people in our lives. We value their opinions, and I do. But we also have to remember, God is God. God is the creator. He needs for you to do what he has called for you to do. This is the reason why doing what you love to do, whether that's on your job, whether that's in your health, whether that's in your life, whether that's in your friend group, doing what you love to do, doing what you're supposed to do is going to bring you joy. It's going to bring you peace. And then you're going to want to do it more. And then you're going to start to share with other people. And next thing you know, it can turn into a business. It can turn into a volunteer opportunity, which turns into a huge community effort. And other people are now tapping into their own, and they're figuring out who they are and what they should be doing. Guys, you don't even realize it starts to pour into other people's lives when they see you doing what you love to do. Don't worry, you're gonna have the haters. It's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna hate you for you doing. Like, there'll be people out there, people go hiking, right? I'm not into hiking, but there are some people that love to hike. But there are some people that love to hate on the people that love to hike. Why? If it's not for you, then move on with your life, right? You're not gaining anything. It's not for you. Kudos. But this person and these group of people that love what they actually do, why does that bother you? Oh, because they have identified what brings them joy, what brings them peace. Something that just takes them and they go into a whole nother world. But because you have not done that same exact world, now you want to, lack of a better expression, now you want to piss on them because it's not, because you haven't identified that for yourself. See, the people that love what they do, people that know what their life is supposed to, they don't have the time nor the energy to piss on someone else's desires and the life that they're creating for themselves. But the people that do, that take a lot of time and energy to do that, that's because they don't know who they are. And all I can say is, if you find yourself in that, if people are constantly saying to you, well, you know, you're just always so negative and you always got something negative to say, maybe you need to sit with God and ask God, how can I turn that around? Because it's not a nice trait to have. And it does, it probably causes a lot of people confusion, hurt, pain, because some people have yet to understand that everyone has an opinion and everyone is not going to agree with what they're doing or what you're doing. And some people don't know how to process that. So you will have some people that will hear you say these things, and instead of ignoring you and being like, go about your business, they will stop. And I've been there before. I've stopped. I've stopped doing what God has called me to do. I start worrying and start thinking about every single thing that I should not even care about. Because I'm listening to people who are not doing and who are not tapped into their purpose, who's not tapped into their happy, who's not tapped into their values. They're not tapped into any of them. And I stopped what I was doing to take in their opinions and their thoughts and theories, and I didn't continue to produce. That's a problem. That's another topic for another day. So I just really hope that this message resonates with someone out there. Share this message, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and I hope that this touches someone and it gets you to a space and a place in your life where you're like, forget the negative people, forget the people that's not out here doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not doing what what they love to do, and they're not living their life according to God's terms for their life. You can't worry about them. You can pray for them, and that's all that you can do. And that's what I encourage you to do. And I pray for you, and I pray that those that need this message will receive it and they will hear it. And I ask God right now that you open up those that need to hear this message, not just in a physical hear it, but like in the spirit, and understand that if this message is for them, that it is for them, and it helps them to make the changes as they are renewing their minds. So I'm Tanisha Shaneé, Miss Inspiration. Have a good one.